1 to 4. We about that action, so tap in and let's go. We want that justice, we want all the smoke. From Monday through Friday, trying to bring the city hope. Yeah. Tory Lowe from 1 to 4, Monday through Friday, let's go. We bout that action from the block, and we ready, let's go. Tap in, and it ain't no holding back. We ready, we ready.
101.7 The Truth. Tory Lowe. Tory Lowe Show live from American Family Insurance Studio at the Avenue. The movement continues. The marathon continues right here on 101.7 The Truth. Thank you for joining me for the second hour of the Tory Lowe Show. And we got guests. We got a guest. We got Jenna Ray from TMJ4, reporter here in studio, Jenna Ray.
In the flesh.
Hey, thank you for coming through. We appreciate you right here on 101.7 The Truth on the Tory Lowe Show because you have been doing some digging into Hackham. And for those that don't know what Hackham is, it's the Housing Authority of Milwaukee, City of Milwaukee, where a lot of things been going on with the residents. They're looking for answers. And you were able to get an open records request as an investigative reporter. And a lot of this is starting to make its rounds into the public. But you recently broke a story about Mayor Johnson finally answering questions about the Housing Authority financial woes, and you had to go to a press conference and kind of get some answers because he kind of been avoiding you the whole time.
And I do want to say, we have to shout out your listeners a little bit because I know that y'all talked about this on the Friday previously. You had a lot of people calling in asking questions. And after we did the story, we had a lot of emails, too, of people asking who is accountable for this. Where is the mayor? How does the mayor play a role in this? And that was a lot of the sentiment that your callers had. And if you've seen the story, Truth Nation, we aired them on TMJ4, kind of asking those questions, and we took those questions to the mayor. But because, like you said, he hasn't been willing to do a sit-down interview with us, we've had to show up to other press events to try and ask him some questions about this.
Now, when these things happen with the city, you want to go to the leadership to ask the question because that's what they're there for, to try to bring some clarity and try to get the ideal of what's happening with the Housing Authority, with these elders, disabled, veterans. A lot of people use city housing.
They're actually the second largest landlord in the city. So Barada Properties is the first largest landlord in the city, and the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee is the second largest.
And many times, a lot of those housing ideas are questionable from both sides, like with the residents.
Residents have raised a lot of health and safety concerns, yes.
Okay, so when you get this open records request, and what did you see?
So it wasn't an open records request.
Okay.
It was actually just I've been covering this story since September of 2023. So it's been really August 2023. It's been quite some time. There's been a lot of people involved. As you know, Common Ground, which you've mentioned on your show before, they've been heavily involved organizing residents, letting residents have a voice. And I've also been covering it because residents were calling us, asking us to look into it, asking us to do something. And just through the year and a half of work that we've done, I've cultivated a lot of sources, whether it be, just across the city in general. And a bunch of people have been like, hey, do you know about this? We've known that there was some financial missteps. That was released in an April 2022 report, so several years ago. But no one could ever find out where that money was going, where it went, and it was about $3 million. In an email that I had obtained, which was confirmed by multiple sources, confirmed that the new CFO, Brad Leak of the Housing Authority, who came in at kind of the tail end of last year, beginning of this year, he found that unreconciled amount of money, which was $2.8 million, which was supposed to be for Section 8 housing, but it was being used by the Housing Authority to pay its own employees.
And I heard that it was illegal misuse.
According to the CFO, yes.
Okay.
So we broke that story Friday morning, 2 Fridays ago now. And then the Hackham board had a board meeting that afternoon where Bradley kind of discussed his findings since we had broken that story. And he specifically called the misuse illegal.
Oh, wow. So when you say illegal, because it's
a big word.
That's a lot. illegal misuse, right? Because sometimes companies can move funding over to help out in certain spaces.
Not federal funding, though.
Right.
It's very specific of how and why you're supposed to be using that money.
So the Section 8 money was moved to help salaries. Was it Willie Hines' salary? Do we know whose salary who benefited from this?
We don't know. And I think that the thing that's interesting about this whole thing and the way that this played out is, again, so we released it, was that the 21st? Let me get the 31st? 2 Fridays ago. Yeah, so January 31st was when we had broke that story. The night before, the 30th, 20 employees were laid off.
Oh, wow.
20 employees were laid off. We were told it was office and maintenance staff. Hackham has an arm of its company called Trevo, which is like their development and construction company. We're told that some of the workers in Trevo were laid off, as well as office staff. And we've talked to some of those workers who say that they were completely in the dark about what was going on, and they want to know why they were the ones who were let go when obviously someone knew where and what this money was being used for.
Now, a lot of the older residents of this housing idea in Milwaukee, they had to get out and protest. They're supposed to be in their latter years. And they're out here fighting for just to be able to rest.
Yeah.
Just be able
and these are people who can't work. Right. So not only are they elderly, disabled, veterans, they're low-income families living in the city of Milwaukee who can't work for whatever reason. They needed help. They needed to, get by for however many months or a year, whatever it may be. And I will say Common Ground was really the one, at least from our perspective, where we saw residents kind of gathering together.
Yeah, they really galvanized within the last couple years. Many times when we see organizations take that step, that's rare. So salute to Common Ground.
And they have there are several properties across the city of Milwaukee. So at first, we were hearing from residents, at College Court. And then we were hearing at people from Locust Court.
Right.
And then we were hearing people from Mitchell on the south side. And everyone was kind of like, wait, this isn't a one, unison issue. A lot of residents are having these issues across the housing authority. It's not just at a singular property.
Now, every time you would try to ask questions to the leadership, what kind of response were you getting?
So we had tried to sit down with Willie Hines several times when he was still in this position. We did a story, TMJ4 did a story in December of 2023, asking Willie Hines, we had been asking for an interview for several months. We just want to ask some questions about these residents' concerns. We've been in, like we talked about before we went on the air, I've been in units. I've seen, the health and safety concerns that they have detailed. And so we wanted to get some answers about that. He's a public official. He's a publicly paid official.
Paid handsomely.
Very well. He actually made more than both the mayor of Milwaukee and Wisconsin's Governor Tony Evers.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
So he made more than both of them.
$240,000.
It was, and then eventually it was actually, he got a raise in his last year to over $250,000.
What?
And that's all according to their own internal documents that they provided that with us. And we felt as, a news organization whose job is to hold public officials accountable, that he should have to answer some of our questions that we have, and especially these residents who are living in his properties. And many people probably remember seeing the clip of me, unfortunately, chasing him down the hallway, asking him questions where he refused to answer them.
Now, what was the interview where he said he was at a jacuzzi? This famous clip
that has circled,
that has started to circulate. When he was being asked about the residents in Hackham, he said he was on vacation in a jacuzzi somewhere. Like what?
So that was what he had said.
Why would he say something like that when he knows that residents have issues with housing and infestation and they have concerns? Was he trying to take a stab at the question, or?
We were asking, that was right after he had announced his retirement. So in the beginning of December, he had announced that he was going to be stepping down and retiring. Everyone had been asking him questions. I believe it happened on a Friday. That Monday was the first time that they had a meeting. And so a bunch of reporters, myself and, other stations where they're asking him, why are you retiring? There are reports that are out now from the federal government that say, housing has not provided high quality living. There's mismanagement of money.
Right.
Is this why you're retiring? And he said that he had come up with this decision prior to these reports coming out when he was at his brother's home in Florida. I don't want to quote it directly. Right. I don't remember exactly, but like you said, the jacuzzi was mentioned, and that's just how he said that he had come up with the idea that he was going to retire and that it had nothing to do with anything else that was going on.
Wow. That's starting to make its round. That's starting to come back in full effect when you talk about now that there's money missing, $2.8 million.
That's a lot of money.
In Section 8 voucher money. Now, who was this going to the residents? And if they are in a space where they're going to file for bankruptcy, or is that still going on? I don't know. But what I'm saying is, who is that going to affect?
It's a great question. And I think we're in like a little bit of a tandem period here where it's like, we've got President Trump on one end saying that they're actually decreasing a lot of federal funding in general. The Housing Authority, there's a possibility. I mean, any agency that receives federal dollars could be impacted by that. So we have that going on at the same time as this possible mismanagement of funds. Now, we're told from the CFO that this happened between 2019 and 2022. And according to Mayor Johnson, as we found out last week, this was before both he and Willie Hines were in the positions Willie formerly was in, and now that Mayor Johnson is currently in. I think our question that still remains is regardless of when this happened, there were 2.5 years where Willie Hines was leading this agency where they couldn't find this unreconciled amount of money. So why did it take bringing in a new CFO, and within a month and a half, he found that missing $2.8 million?
Oh, wow. Right. A lot of people are raising eyebrows about this. A lot of people are saying, okay, where's the transparency? Where's the transparency on the mayor's behalf? And when we come back, I want to know, because he said he didn't know certain things. But there's records that the report came in October. A report came in October.
Correct.
But yet Willie Hines kind of had a month to, in November.
Yeah, let's talk about the timeline.
We're going to talk about the timeline when we get back. Look, Truth Nation, we got Jenna Ray, TMJ4's Jenna Ray in studio. We're talking about what's going on with Hackham. She's an investigative reporter that's been putting out a lot of receipts. We're going to talk about it when we get back. Truth Nation. Stay locked in right here on Tory Lowe.
Don't touch that dot.
101.7 The Truth. Tory Lowe Show. DJ Brother Z on the ones and twos. We got guests. We got TMJ4 reporter Jenna Ray in studio, investigative reporter.
Hey.
In studio. She's been looking into a lot of the things that's been going on with Hackham. And we've been talking about this timeline about when did the mayor know? Because a lot of people want to know, because he says he basically, from what I'm hearing, that he has no clue of what's happening or may have not understood a certain level of understanding to give us the information, because that's what we want from him. But something happened in October where there was a report in October. And shortly after that report, you get the resignation of the director, Willie Hines. What's going on with this report that came out in October?
Well, so I want to back up just a little bit, because I know that this has been, we've been talking about this for a while, but not everyone is up to speed. This goes back for years. Like you and I talked about, you've been advocating for residents in the Housing Authority for several years now. But with our reporting, I mean, just in 2024, in January, HUD, that's the agency that's over Hackham, they forced Hackham to outsource its largest housing choice voucher program, which is Section 8. So let's remember that Section 8.
Right.
Because that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit. In May, the Department of Neighborhood Services, DNS, right here in the city of Milwaukee, started inspecting the agency's properties. That's after the Common Council actually pushed to make sure that Hackham had some oversight at the local level.
Oh, wow.
In June, so this is still 2024, the city's attorney gave the okay for Milwaukee police to cite Hackham properties over nuisance and safety concerns. One of the largest things that we heard from residents over the last year and a half was that they're scared to live at the properties that they live at. They have had armed robberies. They have seen people bust down doors. They've seen it all, and the police were never able to cite them as nuisances, and now they are. In August, College Court tenants filed a lawsuit against the agency over a bed bug infestation. We've been covering bed bugs for quite some time over at College Court. And then we get to October. So this was a report that was released by the federal government, which deemed Hackham as troubled. But we did not get this report in October. We knew about this report. A lot of sources had called me to let me know about this report in October. But we had never seen it. We had filed open records requests with the mayor's office, with Hackham, and with HUD to get this so-called report. We did not get it until after Willie Hines had announced that he was stepping down.
Oh, wow.
2 months after it was released.
And when did the mayor receive this report?
So Mayor Johnson and Willie Hines, as well as a couple other of Hackham's former board members, were on this letterhead. So it was addressed to a handful of people. According to documents provided by HUD that, again, were sent via email to Hackham and the mayor's office, they received it on October 18th. 1 month and 1 day after that, Hines submitted his retirement to the city.
Oh, wow. When we talk about information, should have the mayor alerted the community? Because we haven't seen that. Like, we only see him not really addressing the issues that he has information or his office have been made aware of. We're not seeing the press conference on how we're going to handle this, or, it's always this, I don't know, or kind of avoiding the questions even that you've asked.
I had a sit-down interview with Mayor Johnson in December of 2023, a week after the story aired with Willie Hines and me trying to ask him questions. In that interview, he said that he had faith in Willie Hines, and he said that he also believed that public officials should be held accountable and should be answering questions. That's the last sit-down interview that I have had with the mayor. His office has even refused to interview with specifically me. We've had to send other reporters.
So they blacklisted.
TMJ4's anchor, Steve Shamraz, actually had to show up to an interview because his office had refused to let me ask the mayor questions about this. And so that's why, you saw me last week at a press conference showing up, because we had made several attempts to reach out and ask for a sit-down interview about, the October report that came out, and then about this new financial situation that they're in, and it was, no, we don't want to do an interview. The mayor has already talked about this. We have no time for you.
Oh, wow. Now, in your conclusion from what you have seen on paperwork, talking to residents, looking at the situation, what is some things that we could do as a community from what we can see, or that we can't see? Is there some things that we can do that you may have seen, or what have you seen that we haven't heard about?
I think what they're doing, at least from what we have seen covering it, is the rally around residents. I think, like we mentioned earlier, a lot of residents have been operating in these silos of, College Court is having its own issues, Locust Court is having its own issues, Beecher Court is having its own issues, and Mitchell Court. These are just, 4 of more than a dozen, I think, properties that they have. But a lot of their issues are the same. And from our perspective, it seems as though Common Ground, and we've talked to leaders at Common Ground, is that they have worked to organize people together in kind of one collaborative to elevate voices. And that's part of my job as a journalist. I know
Right.
there's a lot of conversation about how journalism is operating in 2025, and we've had the conversation prior, but as a journalist, it's my job to not only listen to people's concerns and give them a platform to voice those concerns, but also dig into those concerns and validate them with facts and documents,
Right.
which we have done via open records requests and other documentation that we've gotten from HUD, HACM, and the mayor's office.
This sounds like a mess, a huge mess. And a lot of lives are being affected right now. And many times when you look to the leadership, you want them to answer your questions, the tough questions about where's the money going? How was it spent?
I mean, I would want to know. I
Right.
live in the city of Milwaukee. I pay taxes. You pay taxes.
Right.
Everyone pays taxes. Of course, you want to know where the money's going. And it's not just, there has been, I think, a rhetoric around journalists and people having agendas.
Right.
I just want to know the truth, and we're still looking at these documents and not having the full truth. And, there's people that we want to talk to. We would love to sit down with Willie Hines. I know that he said that he would consider it before he retired. He had said that after his retirement, he would consider sitting down with me, and I offer that opportunity to ask a few more questions. Same with Mayor Johnson, as well as HACM's CFO, Brad Leak. We've been trying to get an interview with HACM's new interim director, Ken Barbeau. That has not happened. And so I think there's just,
What do you think that they're hiding or what they don't want the community to know? You would think that the questions you're asking are legit from reports, and these are the people that are getting paid to manage. Why wouldn't they not answer these questions?
I can't answer that.
I know, I'm just saying.
But I can answer, Tory, that I think we found out 2 weeks ago. In that email that TMJ4 obtained, we saw just how detrimental the financial situation really was at HACM, according to its own CFO.
Oh, wow.
The agency's own chief financial officer laid out that $2.8 million had been reallocated, or in his words, misused and
Right.
illegally used, in his words,
Oh, wow.
to pay for people's salaries and benefits instead of going to Section 8 housing. I think that was a big one. You talked about the bankruptcy last week as well. Brad Leak, the CFO, did kind of clarify that portion of his email in the meeting, and he said that the way that things are right now, if we keep operating at this capacity, we will end up bankrupt, not we will be bankrupt.
Right.
So I think there's a
Okay.
distinction to be made there.
Possibility that this can happen.
From a reporting perspective, it does seem like this new CFO is working to clean things up, and that's why I offer the opportunity for an interview. Sit down and talk with me about what you're doing to audit this agency. We haven't seen audits from HACM. I don't think we have and I may be incorrect on the 2022 one, but we definitely do not have a finished and completed 2023 or 2024 financial audit of the agency.
Oh, wow. You wouldn't happen to investigate SDC by any chance?
It's interesting. A lot of people have been.
I mean, that's a whole nother. That's a whole
It
nother
is, but
idea.
a lot of people are
it's the same story,
comparing
though.
it. Yes,
it's
a lot
all
of
the
people
same story. Like it's
are comparing it to
things
that.
are being mismanaged.
A lot of people have compared it to
might
that.
have to go to jail. I mean, I'm just saying. Like to me, when I look at this, there's a lot of millions and millions of dollars that have been misappropriated. Been misused, and when you hear the word illegally misused in the housing, and you're an investigator, why haven't the feds got involved in this, or why do you think they haven't got involved in this?
It seems as though they didn't know. And in the email that we obtained and what we reported on January 31st is that the email said that none of this was reported to HUD.
Oh, wow.
So there was an April 2022. I know we're jumping all over. Everyone's probably like this.
No, go right ahead. No,
all
because
over
the thing
place.
is, you hear money missing,
Right.
you hear illegal.
Right.
Okay, like
So where'd it go?
okay.
So April
Where are the
2022, and we use that. We're asking the question,
I'm
Tory.
just saying. I'm asking.
That April 2022 report, there was about $3 million of unreconciled cash. And for years, no one could figure out where that money went
What?
until we obtained that email. And it was the same amount of money that was unreconciled previously that the CFO had found in about 2 months of where this money had gone, and it had gone to pay employees instead of going to Section 8 housing vouchers.
Well, they was getting large salaries, some of them employees, do you mean employee as in directors?
We don't know.
Or
so
employees as in staff?
It could be, I mean, all of these people are under the same umbrella of how they're getting paid, and they all work for this agency, which is both a federally and locally funded agency. So we don't know exactly who this money and where this money was going to. We just know that it was for, according to the CFO, salaries and benefits of employees.
All right, well.
You overwhelmed yet?
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed because what I'm saying is it's a lot of money missing and a lot of people skating away with the golden parachute, with the retirement and walking away. And I'm just, something tells me something extra should be going on here. Not only you investigating, but maybe some federal investigation needs to be going on. That's what it's telling me.
If that, yeah.
Well, look, I appreciate you for just coming through, Generate. Look, it's a lot going on, and I appreciate you for giving the community the information that you've looked into when it came to Hackham and the residents and listening to their voices and letting their voices be heard. And we appreciate you right here on 101.7 The Truth on the Tory Lowe Show, because that is a lot that you had, a lot of hours.
A lot of hours. And I will say, you know, it's something that TMJ4 has really been pushing over the last year, pushing this concept of voices of the community. We talk about it every morning in our morning meetings at 9:30 when we're deciding what stories of the day do we do. And because we've been focusing on people who live in our communities and elevating those voices in our communities, whether it's, you know, Joe on the South Side who hasn't had his trash picked up in 2 weeks and we go over there and figure out why, or someone living on the North Side, like we talked about, that may be going to school where there's lead in the water and the paint, you know, we don't know where it's coming from yet, but those people are reaching out to us and we're responding and making sure that the community knows that we're there for them and that we will do whatever we can in our, you know, journalistic integrity to find out what's going on and get the community answers.
Hey, look, I appreciate you for coming through. I don't know if you can even, as a reporter, as an investigative reporter, I don't know if you can take calls. I don't know.
We can't. No, I was going to say, I'll plug. I always tell people, you know, we're always willing to hear from people. Okay. My email is jenna.ray@tmj4.com, jenna.rae@tmj4.com. Email me, find me on social media. Happy to help if we can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tory.
Once again, it's a lot of work that you had uncovered. And like I said, anything else new, I want to make sure that Truth Nation is up to speed.
We got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, look, when we come back, Truth Nation, we'll have more conversations. Stay locked in right here on Tory Lowe. The award-winning 101.7 The Truth proudly celebrates Black excellence and the most monumental moments in our history. Tune in all week long as we celebrate the voices, stories, and achievements that have shaped the history and inspired the future. 101.7 The Truth celebration of Black History Month is sponsored by Milwaukee College Prep, Educators Credit Union, the Frederick and the Medical College of Wisconsin, and American Family Insurance. Yeah, and I gotta get my monumental moments recorded this week. Hey, I'll say this, you know, it's been a blessing to have you, Jenna Ray, in the studio. TMJ4 reporter, investigator, Jenna Ray. Now that we done with all of the
professional stuff.
Yeah, now that we done got that out the way.
Yep.
You're a Kansas City fan. You're a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
I'm not a band. Oh, man. I'm not a bandwagoner, though. So that's the thing that I just got to lay out right away. My family, half my family's from St. Louis. The other half is from Kansas City. Uh-huh. So I was in diapers in a little Chiefs cheerleading uniform.
Wow.
From the jump. And so when people are like, oh, really? You're a Chiefs fan? Like, really? I don't listen to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's what I was. I knew it. You must have read my mind. You must have read my mind because I was like, okay, so you got the Taylor Swift collection.
I could probably name like 2 Taylor Swift songs, and I apologize if that's. My friends are going to roast me for this one, but they're going to say that that's on brand. That I don't know any Taylor Swift.
Just let them know it ain't a lot of bad blood going on.
That's one of them, right? Pun gun, shake it off.
Right. Hey, but
that's the extent of my knowledge. But I'm a huge football fan, and I'm a huge Chiefs fan. I gotta admit,
I don't even know what that was.
I didn't finish it. So I'm a sore loser. After that fourth Philly touchdown in the third quarter, I watched it at my parents' house in Chicago, full transparency. After that fourth touchdown, third quarter, I was in my car.
You knew it was over.
I was driving back to Milwaukee.
You knew it was over.
I didn't listen to it on the radio.
We all kind of felt that it was over.
Halftime.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I think that we thought that, okay, there may be some magic. Because the Chiefs have,
I mean, it's mind-blowing
they're
to
scrappy.
watch.
They're scrappy. They come
been
back.
Like that
they can come back.
I was going to say, it's been like that all season. It's been this, we're going to pull it out at the end of the fourth quarter at every single game all season.
Mm-hmm.
And all I kept thinking of, because I'm a fair, fan here, is, wow, Josh Allen is sitting at home thinking, we lost to this?
Right.
To watch this in the Super Bowl?
It was terrible.
It was awful. It was, and I got to admit that. It was like the team just didn't even show up.
But I'm going to tell you who did show up. Kendrick Lamar.
And my girl.
SZA? Wait a minute. Let me find out. Let me find out. Jenna Ray got SZA.
I went to SZA at Summerfest last summer in Milwaukee.
Let me find out. Hold on. Wait a minute. Because a lot of people, they were trying to check the temperature on the halftime show.
I've seen the comments.
And so people was like, they really don't want to comment, but they trying to see if other people would, how they feel. So
Yeah.
I think
Let's talk
it's
about
looking like 50-50. Like a lot of people really got it, and then a lot of people really didn't get it.
Yeah. And if you didn't get it,
Hey.
maybe go watch like a YouTube video or something about
Right.
it. I don't know. I was sitting there with my jaw dropped the whole time.
Just in awe.
I mean, I thought it was, first of all, Kendrick Lamar. Like, I'm a Spotify person, so I know there's like a little debate between Apple and Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Spotify Wrapped girl. I mean, my top 5, and I will say Drake's on my top 5 also.
Oh, wow.
So, but Kendrick and SZA are also on there. And I was hyped for this. I mean, I'm planning to go to the GNX tour.
Okay.
They're coming to Chicago. They're coming to
Okay.
Soldier Field in June.
That's what's up.
Big concert person. Obviously, I saw SZA at Summerfest. I thought it was artistically fantastic. He played minus like 30 for 30 was like the only one song I really wanted to hear from the two of them. But you guys played Luther at one of our commercial breaks, and that's like one of my top favorite songs right now. And I thought the message was extremely clear.
Did you catch any of the symbolism that was going on?
Well, so me and my friend were talking last night, and I was like, hold on, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, wow. So you caught some. Hold on. We got. I want to break it down because a lot of people was catching different messages.
For sure. The game, the stage was a game controller, right?
Yes.
So PlayStation X, that's totally not my realm of,
I'm a PlayStation person. Yeah.
Okay, so but I know the triangle and the square and the circle, like that's what it was.
Right.
And obviously the dancers were in red, white, and blue.
Yes.
Going in different formations, at one point into an American flag.
Right.
Also, right after, well, wait, we should start at the beginning. Samuel L. Jackson saying that he was Uncle Sam.
That's what I'm talking about, right. That to me kicked it off.
I was like, oh.
When I saw Samuel Jackson, I said, uh-oh, let me really tune in now because this is a whole production now with a storyline. Yeah.
And this is a little niche, and I don't know you too well to know if you know this, but on Savage Mode 2, which is an album by 21 Savage, Morgan Freeman narrates throughout the album.
Right.
And this was so similar to that. And I just thought right off the bat, oh, this is going to be good. Before Kendrick even opened his mouth.
Well, I'll say this. When I seen that, the way he presented himself as Uncle Sam, Kendrick is always doing things that have extra ideas. You may not catch it. It may still be some stuff that we may get
I still
a week from
listen
now.
to Not
Right.
Like Us, and I'm like, oh my God, he said that? I'm like, and I listened to it, multiple times a week, and I'll catch a line, and I'm like,
well, I think a lot of people that really get into backpack rap and triple entendres and subliminal messaging, this was like a amazing for us.
it was art.
And I
Truly.
didn't know that lowercase a on
was
his
for
chain.
A minor.
Oh, that's
I
what they
saw that
saying. But
today.
is that really like a logo that he
I
has?
gotta
Like
pull up this tweet
for his
you
new
that-
label? I don't know. Like, was it DJ Brothers E? Was
Yeah, I think so.
you think that the A
It's
small?
either that or it's the A from his P-Lang label,
Right.
or whatever. But I think it's the A minor.
I think that's what Twitter has been saying.
That's what they've been saying,
Because
yeah.
I've been going down the rabbit hole now.
Oh wow, you've been
of
surfing.
finding out like what.
Oh wow. Hey, everybody's surfing right now.
You know what? It's great. I love. I always tell people. People always ask me, "What would you do if you weren't, an investigative reporter?" And like, if my job just did not exist, I would be probably a hip hop radio DJ.
Oh wow.
That's like my dream job.
Oh wow. Hey, you know what? That's hey, I'm finding out a lot. The cool thing about it is America needed that halftime show. Cause the Chiefs sucked.
I mean,
I'm
I
just
needed it.
saying. The Chiefs sucked. I mean, you gotta have something. And I
needed
I
it.
think that if the game was a little bit more competitive, I think when people went into the halftime, they were shocked that the Chiefs weren't scoring. So I think that went into it as well with the crowd, and people are showing things in the crowd. Like a lot of people was betting on the game. So a lot of people was losing money.
But there was part of me that was like, we've been here before. We're always here. We always come back. And then it didn't. And I want to say one thing that was missing about Kendrick and SZA's performance, or maybe a missed opportunity on their part. You could have brought out Beyonce and did America Has a Problem.
Well,
but you didn't.
You thought Beyonce could have?
They've got that song together. America Has a Problem.
Well, him and Lil Wayne got a song together too.
But it
Mona Lisa.
it fit with the theme so well.
So,
and I'm not saying America has a problem, just for the record.
Well, hey.
Just the song, Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar, could have been good.
Hey, well, I'll say this. For Kendrick that was a street performance.
Yeah. And he said, from Compton.
They came from the streets. And I think that when you talk about America and the way they look at pop culture, Kendrick actually reset entertainment far as coming from the street.
For sure.
It wasn't all popped out.
Right, it wasn't mainstream.
It wasn't all mainstream. It was a real amazing street performance from
But I mean,
Kendrick.
they did it a few years ago with Dr. Dre and 50 and Snoop Dogg.
Right.
People had a problem with that. I had conversations with the people who I watched it with. I had to go watch it by myself because I was watching with an older generation that I know did not appreciate and understand it. And I had a lot of people asking, well, that wasn't music. I just don't understand why you think that's good music. And I was just like, there is such messaging behind this that you're not understanding. An entire culture and community that Kendrick Lamar is elevating.
Right.
That has been, Tupac and Biggie, you've had a ton of people who have been on the come up that have been doing this.
They didn't get as far as Kendrick.
Kendrick Lamar has a huge stage to do it.
Right.
And people are listening, and I think it's important.
Well, I think that a lot of people don't understand that Kendrick was an artist on a label. Now he has his own label.
Right.
And he's doing a Super Bowl. So all of that money is going to his independent label concept. And many artists that were thought-provoking didn't get a chance to start their own label at that magnitude.
Because you're tied down to what other people want.
And somebody in the chat says it wasn't for everybody to understand it either. A lot of people just not going to get it.
And that's fair. I feel bad for them.
I do. Hey, look, when we come back, I want to get your final thoughts before you get up out of
Perfect.
here. Hey, Truth Nation, stay locked in right here on Tory Lowe.
More of the Tory Lowe Show is next.
101.7 The Truth, Tory Lowe Show. DJ Brothers E on the ones and twos. We got guests. We got Jenna Ray, TMJ for reporter, investigative reporter.
Hey.
Been hanging out the whole hour talking about situations in the community, talked about the Super Bowl. Many times people want to know because they reach out to news stations all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what stories usually you can deal with when it comes to community? Because a lot of people, they I'm going to call the news, and they tag people. And what are ways can people get their story out there? Because a lot of people would reach out to me and they'll say, Tory, this is the situation. This is what's happening. I want my story to be heard.
Right.
So, like I said, as people, I got social media. Sometimes if I can't do it on the show, I'll just put it on social media and let the investigators on social media look into it. But many times, a lot of people look toward the media to give answers.
And we do get a lot of calls like that. We get a lot of calls. We get a lot of emails. I kind of talked about this before we were doing Super Bowl chat about our community reporters and how we are having a huge focus on voices of the community. And we have reporters in almost minus like Jefferson County. We have reporters based in every geographical county that is in like Milwaukee's viewing area. So, we've got someone covering Kenosha. We've got someone covering Racine. We've got a southern Milwaukee. We've got a northern Milwaukee. We've got a Nozaki. We've got a Washington. We've got a Sheboygan. So we are consistently advertising within our newscast. Not advertising is maybe the right word. Maybe promoting these people to say, hey, if you have a problem, if you have a tip, if you have something that you want us to look into, reach out to this designated person. We're encouraging people to reach out to us because a lot of the times, and I tell people, when people ask like, well, how do you decide how you're going to do a story or what you're going to do a story on? How do you decide what is newsworthy and what's not? And a lot of times, just because I live in this community doesn't mean that I know every single thing that's going on. And a lot of the times it's, someone tagging me on Facebook, someone messaging me on Instagram, someone calling the station saying, hey, we need help. A lot of the winter is an easy one to pick because we get a lot of people saying, hey, we don't have heat. It's 0 degrees. We've called the landlord. What are we supposed to do? And we'll go out, and there's times when we get their heat turned on.
Right.
Because we're asking questions, and we're asking the landlord, like, hey, this person paid rent. They have proof that they paid their rent. We've been in their house, and we have little temperature guns that we can walk in places with. It'll be 50 degrees in their unit.
And many times, these are women and children, many times reaching out for help.
A lot of times it's low-income families in general. And we try and get in there and see if we can we call it solutions journalism, see if we can get some sort of solution for people. But it's like you said, people reaching out, tagging people on Facebook, social media, whatever it is.
Well, I'll say this. You've been doing a great job. And like I said, if anything you need, let me know because I want to make sure that I contribute to something or ideas that I see that can actually help make some real change out here. And many times journalism, I used to wonder many times what was a 2-minute story and what was an investigative story.
But we have people for all that. That's the people will reach out to me and say, hey, and it's funny. I don't do a lot of light, fun stories.
Right.
Sometimes I get to.
They call it hard news.
People will reach out to me and I'll say, you know what, this will be great for one of our other reporters. Or let me put you in contact with this person. Or maybe I'm the person to do it. It just kind of depends. We have different reporters for every facet of news that we cover, whether it be hard news or soft news or feature of the day, sports.
Or a cat in the tree.
Hey, we've done it.
I've seen it, yeah.
We've done it. So reach out. Let us know.
Well, look, I appreciate it once again. And we got a lot of work to do. It's somebody calling in to the show at 3 o'clock and they have a bad situation. I want to see, what we can do. But like I said, as journalists that are really solution-driven, a lot of times the information we recover helps families.
Yeah.
And once the story comes out, it gets highlighted and then it's no longer in the shadows.
Well, that, and I think a lot of the times that we get people reaching out to us, we do those initial stories. Other people who thought maybe their incident or situation was isolated, they'll say, oh my God, that's happening to me too.
Right.
And I'm not alone. And I think that makes it not only gives people a voice, but it lets the voiceless come forward and say, hey, maybe someone can help me with this. I think a lot of times people are lost when they're coming to the news for help. And I'm working on a story right now about garage repair scams.
Oh, wow.
And companies that are showing up pretending to be a reputable garage repair company, charging people thousands of dollars and then leaving, and it's actually
a scam.
It's not legit. But this couple that I interviewed said, we almost didn't want to call you because we were so embarrassed. And I said, well, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And they said, the reason why we called is because we wanted to make sure that we got the word out so that someone else, if this happened to someone else, they knew that it was legit, that it's happening, and that they're not alone. And so I think that's a good message to send to people who may be afraid to open up and reach out and ask for some help.
That's sounding powerful.
Working on it.
Hey, look, I appreciate you, Jenna Ray, for coming through. TMJ4 reporter, investigative reporter. Hey, look, keep doing the great work, and hopefully you can get those interviews that you've been trying to get from the city.
We're gonna keep pushing.
Hey,
We're all for accountability here.
we definitely are for it, and I'm definitely gonna play it here on the show. I can't wait.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, look, when we come back, Truth Nation, we'll have more conversations. Stay locked in right here on Tory Lowe.